G'day folks, and welcome to the show. It's Rex Hunt Fishing Adventures, and yes, I'm still around. And Bob and I have had a lot of fun getting down into the cellar with the dust over the top of the old films, and we've come up with, we've come up with some absolute rip snorters. And tonight, we're joined all over the world by people that really love family and fishing. Now, our first story tonight is at Croker Island off the north coast of Australia. And the man over there was Lance Butler, and the mob just welcomed us with open arms. We went to the local rock bar in search of some barramundi, and this is what we came up with.
Look at that! The old bearded birdler, he's in his element. Throw it into his mouth. Unbelievable, mate.
It's just like nature. It's what we're all about.
I tell you what,
This is just fantastic.
Wagons, ho! Oh, thank your mother for the rabbits. Just when they think it's safe to come out. It's not an animal! Bang!
I guess in the end, that's probably why we all go fishing.
Dead leaves going to fall off there.
I don't think too many people from Holland would be aware of what's here.
This is a serious dike. A serious dike.
Folks, Croker Island is a terrific base to explore the vast waterways of this region. And one of them is Buffalo Creek on the tip of Coburg Peninsula. And joining me as usual is the Bushman.
Yes, Rexy, and I cannot wait to throw a lure in here. Apart from the Indigenous owners, Lance is the only person bringing people in here to fish. So it is really untouched. This is virgin wilderness.
We're going to fish lures today, folks. A few deep divers, a few shallow runners. It doesn't matter. We're here to fish. Come along. It should be a great trip.
Salmon.
Now we're going to do some work. You see him go. I tell you what, he's got a little bit of spunk about him. Come out of there. This is why they call it sport fishing, folks. It's fishing and it's sport. Because you've got to use all of your ability to keep these fantastic salmon out of that particular mangrove, and he knew where he wanted to go, Bushy, didn't he?
Didn't he fly out of the water?
Didn't he fly out? And the old fluoro spearhead. Hang on a minute. This is why we have a drag, and this is why we have the human moustache.
We don't swat too early, do we,
No, we
Rexy?
don't. A lot of people swat, and he's not going to go anywhere. There's plenty of drag there, and he is just a humble Croker Island salmon, blue salmon in fact, but a pretty nice fish.
This time.
Now we'll bring him around here and he's in the net. Look at that. And the hook came out because it's barbless,
Rexy,
but that is a serious fish, isn't it?
that's a lovely fish. Look
I
at that.
suppose
Aren't
just
they?
watch that lure now.
Aren't they strong?
Yeah, they're strong.
Yeah, well,
He's
hope,
a bit bigger than what I thought, Bushy.
hope he doesn't leap out of the water and escape on me.
Look at
There
that.
he comes. We don't want to hurt him. Just want to pick him up flat.
Now he's actually a threadfin.
There you go. He's got the little barbs
Called
on.
him a little blue salmon. And of course, he didn't have that characteristic yellow of the threadfin that I usually can say, well, it is a threadfin. These are the whiskers that they use to feel along the bottom and the sides of the estuarine systems. So a magnificent start to our sortie here at Croker Island. Lance has put us onto the fish. And Bushy, a boundary off the first ball, you can't do better than that.
You cannot do better than that. There we go, fish.
And away he goes. Well done, mate. Now it's your turn, Bushman.
Good start.
It is a good start. Good looking area over there too.
All those are good ones.
See you grab that bush. Have you? Well,
Nearly got the double.
another thready. A beautiful looking fish. It doesn't matter whether you're playing golf, or you're playing cricket, or you're playing footy. If you work as a team, you can have a fantastic time. And why I told Bushy to have a cast was that when these fellas get stirred up, they're likely to work in 2s and 3s and hunt the prey that they're after. So we've got a chance here showing you folks some pretty sensational sport fishing. Another serious fish.
What a beauty. Don't they
He's
go
a
hard?
lovely, lovely fish, isn't he? Lovely, lovely fish. There she goes. I reckon we've had a change for the better in fishing over the last 4 or 5 years in Australia. And the Americans and the English people have bought it here. You pay for a guide. So many people save all their money all year to come up here. They try and do it themselves and they get disillusioned because they can't catch a fish. Good one, Bushy. But if you get the right guide and get on the fish, hey, there's no downtime. It's great fun. Ah, Bushy.
Look at this thing. That's fun. Woohoo! Thank you, Rexy.
Lift
Thank
your
you,
game.
Mother, for the
Salmon. That is a very, very nice fish. Now, I suppose at home people are saying, gee, they're nice salmon. They'd be, what would they be, 2 kilos?
Oh, probably a bit more, I think.
4.5, 5 pound.
Oh, that's a lovely fish.
But very, very streamlined fish. There is no doubt about that. I'll get that hook out there for you. Oh, it's gone.
I'll just do the double flip overhand release. That takes practice too.
Very, very good.
How much fun is that?
Now, Noel can just come in here and see this. Bushy will be right onto this. The salmon got off. Check your hooks. He's almost straightened the right-hand barb there. So Bushy will pop that back in with a set of pliers and make sure that it's ready for the next fish. After you cast in there, I like to twitch it a little bit to let everyone know everything's going on. And just give the fish some sort of incentive to grab it instead of just a lure. Just sort of going through the water and say, oh, I might have a go at it. But if you twitch it, it says I'm injured, I'm hurt, or I'm really scared, I'm going to get eaten here. I'm really going to get eaten. And this is a very good example of a fishery that is just sensational. This is a smaller salmon, but by gee, the power of these fish is just awesome. Using 6 kilo gear, just in case we get a bigger fish. But very, very nice looking salmon. They're streamlined to give you a fantastic fight. And the barbless hooks are okay. And once again, I've got to straighten up the hook. Oh, Bushy!
Woo, flying fish.
You're sounding like Larry, or what is it? Curly out of the Three Stooges, you idiot.
I was just trying to lift the lure out the water and this salmon's gone.
Oh, dear me. Now, what Noel's going to do with Bob, they're going to cut away to a snag that we're casting to, and it's important that you actually have a look at it. Okay, here we are now. The tree has obviously fallen over many years ago, and it's not what's above the water, it's what's underneath. And that's what Bushy and I are casting to, because where that thick, big, round log enters the water, that's the start of the piscatorial kingdom where our prey is living. It's most important to understand that's what you cast to. It's a structure. It's food, it's shelter, it's home to our friends.
What is that?
I think a little salmon. Or a...
Two-step.
A queenie! A queenie! I tell you what, look at that! Come on! And that's what the drag's all about. When the rod is fully loaded and the fish wants to go via the cape. Wow, look at that! And he's gone. Well, but it was worthwhile having a queenie. Oh, little queenie, you got so much to do. Elton John sang that, I think. Oh, sorry, darling. My wife said it's Genie. You idiot, Rex. Can I get into that hole? Oh, little queenie. Sounded all right.
Till we saw
Up the creek. Up the creek.
Something trying to eat my
Big
liver.
bad creek.
Big creek.
Oh no. Nothing real big, but he fairly hit that bushy.
Got one too,
You
Rex.
got one too, have you, bushy?
Oh, what is mine?
Oh, what mine is?
Little
A
queenie.
little trevally. You got a queenie, and this is just fantastic. This is junior playtime, isn't it? Bushy's got a queenie, and they can grow up to 8, 9, even 10 kilos. Like I'm talking about 4.5, 5 foot long. I've got a beautiful little trevally. Look at him, just in his first year of life. And the bait's about a third of the way along his entire length. And he's had a go at that, and he's been caught. Well, let's see if we can do the release trick here. Won't be kissing this bloke because there's a lure flying around here at 100 miles an hour. And just grab it, Rexy, and go flick, just like that. Well, folks, it doesn't matter whether they're a metre long or a few inches long. The top end is full of piscatorial surprises. I hope you're enjoying it. Don't go away, because after the break, there's more Rex Hunt fishing adventures in the top end of Australia.
How about that, folks? I tell you what, if the COVID thing settles down worldwide, that's one of the first places I'm going to go. And why don't you just have a look at it, you people from all over the globe, not only within Australia. It is the most beautiful place, particularly to the build-up of the stormy weather and also towards the end of the dry. So we've got another big story coming up very, very soon. But let's now go to the Netherlands, or I used to call it Holland. Can you hear me there, Brent?
Well, folks, today Steve Starling and I come back to a great stamping ground that we've both been along in the last couple of decades. This is Bathurst Island, Dudwell Inlet, I know it as, but the local people from Barramundi call it Woolima. Whatever they call it, Steve, it's a serious estuarine system.
It is, and it's a red hot day. Let's hope the fishing's red hot too.
I've always wanted to prove to the folk out there that fly fishing doesn't have to be quiet and secretive. We're going to do the old dueling fly rod and dueling lure rod today.
That'd be the idea. I reckon you up the front with the bait caster, me down the back with the fly rod. There's snags everywhere. We should be able to catch a fish.
And the fish that we're after, folks, the mighty Barramundi. There may be a mangrove jack or a threadfin salmon. Doesn't matter. Two mates fishing where they fished many years ago.
Oh, it's a little barra. While you weren't looking, Rex, I quickly swapped over the fly rod for the bait caster because there was a bit of a tight corner in there I couldn't quite reach. You don't have to get locked into one form of fishing or the other. It really pays to be versatile when it comes to fishing. Nice little fish. I tell you what, the other thing that it pays to do, as well as being versatile in your fishing, is to listen to your guide. Michael Winterton is out here nearly every day through the season and he knows where the fish are, and he told me to get one in tight on a corner in there, and I did it, and sure enough, hanging right under the shadow of the tree was this little barra. Now it's only a little one this time. Next time it could easily be a 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 kilo fish. So take the advice of the locals and the people that are on the job all the time, because they know what they're talking about. Now these barramundi are holding in a very small area. It's probably only 1 metre square, and it's in the shadows underneath some overhanging mangroves on a point here. I'll show you how I'm getting the lure to them, because it's not that easy to do. I'm actually casting past where I want to fish, and the tide is running out, which is going from right to left across your television screen. I'm actually letting the tide carry the lure down a little bit, and then I'm winding it down, so I get it down to its operating depth, and then I just slow it right down, and I'm just making it wiggle and twitch right on the fish's nose, and there he is. I tell you what, how good is that? Slowly getting bigger, still way short of legal. Here in the Northern Territory, a barramundi has to be 55 centimetres to be a legal fish. This one would be lucky to make 40. Be a nice fish if he was a trout or a bass or something like that, but he's just a little tacker for a barramundi. But like I said, they are getting bigger each time, so maybe there's a slightly larger one in there. We'll find out. Steady there, fella. Try and keep it in the zone as long as possible by just jigging it in there, and sure enough, oh, Mr. Barra cannot resist it. Woo-hoo! Like I said, they are getting, whoa, a little bit bigger each time. This is quite a nice little fish. Oh, I love it when a plan comes together. Okay, oh, steady there. Wild fish. They're small enough at this stage that you can hang them up like this without hurting them. I wouldn't be doing this if it was a big fish, but there's not enough weight in him to do any damage to his internals. So I can just... You can tell when they're going to kick. They start to vibrate slowly and then they just kick harder and harder. Give it a bit of a shake and he's off like a flash.
Right, Rexy, you got one shot and one shot only. Barra over there. He's not huge, but he's worthwhile catching. Stephen and I have had a magic session. It's great to revisit Dudwell here on Bathurst Island, but Bathurst and Melville, apart from the magnificent inhabitants, the Tiwi people, is well worth a look. Fishing personified. I'll see if I can show you this little bloke. Now, come on, have a go. Go on. And he took it straight away first cast. I tell you what, perseverance, folks, in life, sport or fishing, really, it pays off. We have travelled miles up here and had a fantastic time. Got some snags that are just fantastic, others that haven't been 100%. And look at that, just a beautiful, beautiful barramundi. Up you come, mate. He wasn't going to get away, was he? Look at that. Have a look at that. Just laying docile. Perfect in his form. Probably in his 2nd year of life. And those barb hooks just come out not as easy as these barbless ones. And look at that. That is just fantastic. He'll give a bit of a kick now because he's biting on my finger. But we hope that we can come back to Manupi Lodge in a couple of years' time. and see this young fella turn into a female and start to breed her own batch of magnificent Bathurst and Melville Island Barramundi. Manupi Lodge is going to see myself and my family again, folks, without the cameras. I suggest you do the same. See you later, matey. Bye-bye for now. Well, folks, today Steve Starling and I come back.
Okay, folks, that was some fantastic fishing. Now, I know a lot of people just sort of love fishing because it's different and that sort of thing, and it's an escape from their everyday pressures, and haven't we had some of them over the last few months? But for those dedicated, the poppers the go, because you lose too much gear on the reef, and the barrel look up and we'll see little potty mallet with the big eyes. Now, Rapala, who I've got no affiliation with, but I buy them because then I can say whether they're good or bad. The skitter popper is the one about that long. Now, coming up again will be a lovely, lovely story up in the same area of Australia. But I just see there that John Pearce sent his best regards from Thailand. Now, that's Pearce on or Pearce, you know what I'm talking about. One time, Bob will find in my cellar the story we did in the Simeon Islands, was it, John? For sailfish, Pacific sailfish. Absolutely magnificent. And we stayed on a craft called the Singer Lady, a craft. It was just a small ship. And Gina Davis, who was a great movie star, slept on that during the shooting of one of the films she did. And I think the star might have been Richard Gere, but I don't know. Now, we've also had a call from Bob of Brisbane. Bob, they are all whiting and they're all feeders because they've got their chin just under their mouth. And what they do is they suck out the worms like spaghetti. And yes, I would think that the gulp, and I think it's Berkeley who make them, they would be okay, but you need a fine rod to feel them and go bang. And before we go to our next story, and because we're live, Bob will say, yes, I can just continue on with the next question. And Bob's saying, yes, keep going. Shane has asked how long I known George Sant for. Now, a lot of people in Australia would know the name Sant Marine. One of the best innovators and constructive engineers that the world has seen. He made me fish in a river with half the horsepower that I usually need by putting on trim tabs on that little boat that I fished up at the Bridgewater on Loddon with Adam Reuter. And Adam, you'll be watching over there in the land of the long white sheep. He was getting ready to come home and the Pakistani cricket team actually interrupted proceedings. So let's hope that the lady over there, the Prime Minister, gets things in order. And I'm looking forward to coming across there. Adam, that's the good news. The bad news that 15 years ago you said in 7 years you'd be sitting in my chair. I'm just going to announce on international television, Adam, that you're sleeping under a tree. Yibbida Yibbida, good on you, you're a dear friend. So we can go to the next story. This is live and this is fantastic, and I've got red light fever. The next story is in the same area as Australia that Bushy and I were in just a moment ago on Croker Island. This is Bathurst Island. This is Nelson. This is Nelson. See, this is live television. I thought we were going with Steve, but anyhow, Steve said no. We've got to get the copyright off Steve, so we'll fix that, Steve. So we're going to Nelson. No, not 71177 Lord Nelson. The Glenelg River at Nelson is on the border of South Australia and Victoria. And halfway up the river goes into South Australia and back again. It's the stamping ground of Jeremy Cameron, one of the great Australian footballers of our time. The Jewfish is well known on the eastern seaboard of Australia. Down here we call him Mulloway. And the local publican, what was his name? Or what is his name? Neil. The local publican Neil, he gave me one of the best steaks of all time. It didn't come out well, did it? He gave me a lovely T-bone. I'm getting into trouble, folks. We're going to Nelson. We're fishing for Mulloway. Bob, roll the tape, for God's sake.
Thank you, Mother, for the rabbits. The old bearded burbler, he's in his element.
It's just like nature. It's what we're all about.
Wagons
guess in the end that's probably why we all go fishing.
Folks, so many people tell me that this show takes them on a journey and people don't even have to leave the comfort of their own rooms. Well, I can tell you now, folks, this is a new experience for me. Today we're on the border of Victoria and South Australia. It's a place called Nelson, and behind me, the marvellous Glenelg River, and coming in, one of the locals who knows how to catch fish. Neil, good to see you.
How are we, Rex?
Terrific, mate. Absolutely fantastic. Folks, this is Neil Sheldon. Now, when I go somewhere, I either check out the local barber or the local publican. And Neil, you pull the only beer in town.
I certainly do.
The Glenelg River. When we rang, they said, you are the man. Now, you've been out this morning. What's happened?
Well, just got a little one this morning, so let's see if we can go get another one.
Now, folks, that is a serious fish. He's about 10 minutes out of the water. It is a Mulloway. Some people in Australia call them jewfish. No matter what you call them, they're great fun to catch and a bit of a challenge. It's time to go fishing, folks. Hope you enjoy the show. Gee, Neil, a lot of people would find it amazing that this is the first time I've been on the Glenelg River, and yet I mentioned the car park, I mentioned the bridge, the deep holes and that sort of thing. I know a lot about it, but I'm so excited. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's an amazing thing that I haven't been. Is it because it's off the beaten track?
Well, possibly it is. Like it's the end of the Great Ocean Road.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's the far end of Victoria, and
Yeah.
we're not South Australia as well, so it's not
Yeah.
that well known.
Well, let's hope we can catch a fish. Get one, did you?
There was a bang. There was a bang.
Right.
There was a bang.
And the bang wasn't the bottom.
No, it was a definite. Unless it was one of those Taylor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they just sort of just seem to go bang.
Do they? Yeah.
Bite your fish in half. He's taken one fish.
One fish. Look at that. Well, you never ever know, do you?
No.
Never ever know. So rather than the bottom like that, it's a dead set boom, is it?
It was a bang.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and the fish is gone.
Yeah,
And sometimes you just get them back and they're just half a fish.
yeah. Well,
Perfectly bitten in half.
I can tell you now, folks, I don't want to harp on the fact about local information. I wouldn't pump worms here. It's 3 foot deep. And yet we've had the boys over here catch a nice mulloway and drop a bigger fish, they say. And have a look at the three old fellas. Isn't that magnificent? And yet, this is where we're fishing for mulloway. I suppose it gets back to common sense. The mullet would be up here because in 30, 40, 50 foot of water, they're going to get eaten. Here, well, the mullet's still going to get eaten. He's got less water to die in. Folks, I'm excited, and we haven't caught a fish. It's called anticipation. And after the break, we're going to build up to a marvellous crescendo that hopefully sees us catch a fish here at Nelson.
Well, it's going very, very well. And Bob and I were just discussing while the Nelson business was on, the Rex Hunt live YouTube channel all over the world has started off slowly, but we've completely slackened off. And that sounds like my haircut. Now, Bren, you want to start a YouTube channel? Mate, one day I'll have a talk to you. If you want to go broke, lose your hair, and lay awake at night how on earth you're going to make ends meet, start a YouTube channel. But on a serious note, there's a bloke called Robbie Alexander at Wangaratta, who's a dear friend of mine. We share a common problem that we're both working on, and I'll just leave it at that. He's Robbie's Fishing Adventures or something like that. Robbie Alexander, have a look. That's what it's like, and that's what you've got to do. How do you start a YouTube channel? You entertain people. So they say, oh, this is okay, but Nice never ever bought the steak sandwich. Nice is okay. If you're nice, you'll get on. But if you just fly by the seat of your pants, away you go. So, Bren, if you want to have a go at a YouTube channel, you idiot. Now, Shroom. Obviously, your mother and father had a lot of kids Shroom and run out of names, but that's a lovely, lovely name. I wouldn't mind calling my dog Shroom. Where does Thank Your Mother for the Rabbits come from? Well, a bloke called Darren Hinch, who came from a land of the long white sheep, really got into me because I used it on 3AW. He said he made it up. Well, Darren, if you want Thank Your Mother for the Rabbits, that's okay. Now, Shroom, where it comes from is in the Depression, before the war, and even after the war, when my old man came back from Pearl Harbor and also Bougainville. But my producer, Bob, has just gone grey and white because he thinks I was going to tell the story about my old man with that grenade. But anyhow, I won't. Where was I? Thank Your Mother for the Rabbits. And what happened? People had no money. It's like now. People are broke and the government doesn't understand that people are broke, but they keep on giving people who brag they don't work money. And if you're getting money and you don't work... So... Thank Your Mother for the Rabbits was during the Depression, where you would go up with some potatoes and blackberries and mushrooms and some milk, and you'd give it to the farmer who'd give you a pair of rabbits, the old underground mutton. And then all of a sudden the underground mutton would go to the local newsagent or the local barber and pay off for your haircut and your tetanus injection. Say, oh, thank your mother for the rabbits. And that's where it came from. It's magnificent. And I tell you what, can you buy any wild rabbits anywhere in the world? Because the farm ones, they're no good. And if you kill a rabbit, you've got to serve them up with the offal and the kidneys. Now, we're going to go back to Nelson in a minute, but the other question I had was from, who's the bloke from the Netherlands, Bob? Stacey. He's magnificent. Mate, you're on every day there that we come across, and I just hope that I can come back there. Had a nice steak at Rotterdam when we were over there. Magnificent. So g'day to your Netherlands, g'day to the world. We're going back to Nelson, the mouth of the Glenelg River at Nelson in Victoria. Magnificent species called Mulloway, and we're still looking for one, and we might have one or maybe two surprises for you, folks. Fasten your seatbelt.
Sometimes you almost feel them turn the bait. There's a little bit of a jolt. You feel them turn the bait.
Yeah.
He's been fidgety.
He just went bang, and then I thought, oh, I can feel the little fish, and then I couldn't feel the weight. It might be swimming towards me.
You hooked?
We're hooked, all right. We are hooked into a substantial fish.
Thank God.
Oh, well, don't thank me yet. Don't thank me yet.
I was only thanking your brother.
Folks, welcome back to Rex Hunt Fishing Adventures. A good night's sleep for some, but I tell you what, my producer's got to give away that Cab Sauvignon or whatever it's called, the snoring. Bob, that's a disgrace. The first mullet down here in about 5 feet of water was nervous for quite some time. So I said to Brendan, you better fire up that camera because I have a nervous mullet. And Neil, it just goes to show if you are prepared to get your backside out of bed and put a live bait in front of one of these predators, I'll take it.
Oh, certainly.
It's not a huge Mulloway in Mulloway terms, but it certainly has wafted down my mullet. I can just see the lips moving through that camera there at some people who are saying, what sort of gear has Rexy got trying to catch Mulloway? Well, don't worry, folks. We get back to the old adage of the Rexisms along this show for 13 years. If you have a properly balanced outfit, a properly tuned drag, nothing's going to happen. I have about 4 kilo breaking strain line, and we've just got a school Mulloway here. So folks, the lesson for everyone watching the show is perseverance. How many times do you think, oh gee, nothing happening today, nothing happening tonight, then all of a sudden,
Bang.
you know, bang. So, my goodness me, wasn't that just lovely to feel the fish take it? Now, what I've got to be careful of here is I've got plenty of drag on. So when he sort of thinks, my goodness me, there's the bottom of the boat, there's our mullet coming up, and we've got a nice school Mulloway on here. Lovely to see. There's the mullet coming right up the line, and there's the Mulloway. Have a look at that. I tell you what, Neil, you pull beers for a living, mate. This is my living. What do you reckon of me job? Is it all right?
I'll swap you any day.
Have a look at this.
Just want to grab him.
Have a look at that.
Good colour.
Oh, look at him. Look where he's hooked. Right in the lip. Right in the lip, and...
Well done, Rexy.
How about that? How about that? A beautiful looking Glenelg River Mulloway. Mate, don't look at me like that, you're gonna go back. There, Neil, look, that hook, you better take that out, mate. That is just sitting there, just like that. Have a look at it.
Just in.
They have quite a big mouth. They're a predator. And a lot of people up north say, gee, that's a small one. But I'm going to say a Mulloway is a Mulloway is a Mulloway, isn't it? All right, I'll put him back for a start. And here you go, mate. How lucky are you to run into Rexy? You ready? You ready? And away he goes. How about that?
Beautiful work. Well done.
He promised me a Mulloway. All day yesterday I was going to say, Bundi, Bundi. But I tell you what, the publican. How many times has the publican come good? And I noticed yesterday when I hopped in this magnificent craft of yours that you had a look at my gear, and you thought, I knew it. What did you think? Come on, tell the people.
Fairly small gear, but you've done well. Worked well.
It has. It's a good lesson, folks. Fishing's fun, and that Mulloway, it's a lovely little fish. What happened?
Bite.
Out of gear?
Put him out of gear. He's on.
He's on. Well done. Oh, little bloke.
He's not very big.
Doesn't matter, mate. It's a Mulloway.
We're here for.
I'm going to kill this motor. How about that? I'm operating a thing that was built in before the century before last. Oh, nice fish. We might get him across here and show the people on the camera. Have a look at that. That's a nice little fish. We mightn't even need a net, might we?
No, I think we'll just pull him in, Rex.
Here we go. There we go. Bit of a comfort lift.
All
Hey, that's very, very nice. Now, Neil, if you'd be good enough just to hold the fish, or just to keep an eye on him, I'll get my little pliers out of here.
He's well hooked, Rex.
Yeah, is he? What? Now, these fish are in their hundreds in this estuary now.
Yes.
And a lot of, as I said before, the one I got, a lot of people will be saying, gee, it wasn't very big and all this sort of stuff. But these actually do grow into big fish, don't they?
That's right, and that's why we're going to release it.
Okay. Look at that.
Got him?
A lot of people call them soapies. A lot of people call them school Jew or school Mulloway. And to my mind, it's a nice place. What is the biggest Mulloway you've ever taken here?
I've taken a 20 pounder, it's my best size.
Well, it's
personally.
about a 3.5 pounder, you know what I mean?
He can grow to the 20.
Folks, Nelson, on the far west coast of Victoria, just near the border of South Australia, Neil Sheldon. He's the local man here who pulls the beer. He also catches the fish, Neil, and thanks for having the Rex Hunt crew this week.
Pleasure, anytime, thank you.
We'll be back, folks. We'll see you at Nelson. Off you go, mate. You ready? And away he goes.
I just want to say, folks, I don't know whether Bob's happy with this, but the thing that I'm most proud of, apart from my family and my career, is trying to release fish. I know sometimes now looking back, they didn't survive, but now you see young kids teach old people like me how to cradle a fish. You don't, lift the barra up, that sort of thing. The best releaser of fish is looking at me now from Thailand, Johnny Pierce. Those Pacific sailfish, just fantastic. And in the coming weeks, I just hope that things start to settle down in the world, a vaccine, and Johnny Pierce is going to introduce us, I think his name was Mick Bob, at the fish park in Thailand, and I want to catch an arapaima, Johnny. So Google arapaima, and they are one of the world great prehistoric fish. Now, let's see, it's a fishaholic. But the Fishing Mafia came in, and thanks a lot for your support, Fishing Mafia. Without saying too much, if you sort of take my explanation of Fishing Mafia, I might have a little bit of just an inquiry for you from a bloke that's giving me a hard time. So anyhow, Fishaholic, how do you get on a fishing show? That's easy, mate. Just do what I did. Get some photos of the producer, mate, and you'll be on every week. Now, Kevin asks, what snapper, rig and bait have you used over the years? Kev, in Victoria, we've got 2 snapper fisheries. Western Port, it's not Western Port Bay, it's Western Port, where the tide runs and can rise and fall about 6 or 7 feet, Bob, yep. So Bob's got no idea, he's just fallen asleep. He's got the still knocks and the mogadon. And of course, the rig is long, because if you put the squid or the pilchard away from the monofilament, it doesn't hum. And that's what puts the snapper off. But in Port Phillip Bay, to me, I just use an unweighted pilchard, but I'm out of kilter. I'm out of the ball game. Now, the real successful, particularly charter operators, they're using a paternoster rig, which is a sinker on the bottom and a couple of snoods up the top. One with a half pilchard or a whiting, a silver whiting, and the other one with a little fangled sort of thing that you'd think might have a set of batteries in them. But they're very, very colourful and very, very floppy. And I think we'll just leave it at that. So, Kev, all the best to you, mate, and I hope you're okay. Just got a question there from Rory. It wouldn't be Rory McElroy. He said, what's your next TV show, Rex? Well, I suppose I can sort of let the secret out there, Rory. It is how to plan your own funeral without going bust. And an amazing thing here, I don't know whether it is the same in the Northern Hemisphere, but here in Melbourne, the Herald Sun is the major newspaper, and every day people die in alphabetical order. The Andersons always die before the Thompsons. Julius Sumner Miller, why is it so? The other thing was that Eric, he hasn't got my surname, Eric of South Australia and down near Wyalla, he said, how do I teach my grandson fishing, Eric? Pick one species of fish at a time. And probably in Wyalla, it's a mullet or a flathead, and get the kid to understand how the fish behaves. The tide, what it eats, that sort of thing. And I'm worried about you, Terry. What about the size of your rod? Mate, you haven't got enough time. On a serious note, with the little kids, you start off with a 3-foot rod to 4 foot to 5 foot, and as they grow, the rod grows with them. Didn't come out that well, did it? What puts kids off is a full-size rod. And you know why? Because Greg Norman, when I interviewed him back before the big log jam in the Mordialloc Creek, which is about 1968, and he told me, he taught his young son Greg to drive and chip with a tiny little club, and like Tiger, as the kid grows, the club grows. So I think that's just about it. We've got young Daniel in here. He came in for some work experience. He's certainly got some experience, but I just think he's, read my lips, no bush. He's saying to Bob, that's it for me. He said, I'm going to retire, so he's doing well. And Bob Grief, magnificent dark-haired man. Oh, he's like a dark-haired version of Brad Pitt. He now looks like Papillon, who was played by Steve McQueen before Degas pushed him into the sea. So that's it, folks. And if you want to know what I'm on life. I've got a new hip, I've got a new back, a new neck, and I'm working on the other thing. I'm Rex Hunt and you're not. On a serious note, this has been the best thing that's happened to me. All you old blokes saying you watched me as a kid, do yourself a favour. Introduce your kid to the show. Take him fishing, because when it's over, it's over. Like Kerry Packer said, I've been to the other side,